Welcome to the Connection Matters podcast. I'm your host, Leona Johnson. In this podcast, we explore the intricate weave of consciousness, empowerment, connection to the sacred, and cultural emergence. I believe that now, more than ever, we're being called to craft a new story, one of community, deep listening, creative potential, cultural repair, and an embodied understanding of the interconnected web of all things. Let's do the work together so that we can move forwards with authenticity and integrity, knowing that we're contributing to a healthy, regenerative culture for future generations. My mission with this podcast is to inspire and empower you to step into this vision for life. Each episode, I'll bring you thought-provoking conversations with leading voices in the field, but you'll also find solo episodes where I dive deep into my passion, connected self-leadership and everyday spirituality, giving you actionable tools to integrate into your daily life. Subscribe now on your favourite podcast platform if you haven't already, and if you enjoy the show, please share it with those who would appreciate it. It really helps when you do. You can also leave a review on Apple Podcasts to help others find us who might need that dose of hope and inspiration. Finally, to get notified straight into your inbox, feel free to sign up to the mailing list in the show notes below. This is also where I share weekly inspirational thoughts and any downloadable freebies that I talk about during the episode. My aim is to serve. I am so grateful that you are here. Hey, beautiful humans, and welcome back to Connection Matters. I'm Leona, and today we are diving into something that I know many of you have experienced. And if you haven't recently, then you probably will at some point on your journey. You know that feeling when you just can't be bothered? When everything feels hard, like hard work, like treacle, when even the things that you usually love doing feel exhausting, and when the idea of change, even change that you know you need, feels absolutely overwhelming. Well, that's exactly what we are exploring today, because here's what I want you to understand. That I can't be bothered feeling isn't laziness. It's not a character flaw. It is actually a sign that transformation is knocking at your door, and you're in that uncomfortable space between who you've been and who you're becoming. So in this episode, I'm going to guide you through recognizing this phenomenon when it shows up in your life. We will explore the signs that something deeper is going on, the patterns of avoidance we all fall into, and most importantly, the gentle, compassionate practices that can help you move through these stuck places without forcing or shaming yourself. I'll share what this looks like for me, the messy, the real parts, because honestly, this podcast theme is the result of me coming out of one of those really challenging times. But more importantly, I want to give you a framework for understanding what's happening when you find yourself in this place, so that you can navigate it with awareness and self-compassion. So let me paint you a picture of how this often begins. Though it might show up differently for you and for different people, sometimes it starts with a moment of clarity. You are somewhere, maybe on a retreat or on holiday or in a ceremony or a long walk, at a family gathering, who knows? But something shifts. There's this moment, or maybe it's been a creeping thing that's been coming in for ages, where you suddenly know something in your bones, in your blood. You know that a transformation has occurred or is calling to occur, like a bigger vision, a life that is calling you. And you've had glimpses of the realization of your future self, but sometimes it's quieter than that. Sometimes it's like waking up in the morning and realizing that you're just going through the motions. You're doing the same things you've always done, but you're not inspired anymore. You're not passionate, not even really caring. And that's terrifying, because these things used to light you up. You wonder, is it me? Have I lost something essential? Or maybe it shows up as a creeping sense of disconnection. You look around at your life, the work you do, the relationships that you're in, the routines you keep, and nothing feels wrong exactly, but nothing feels quite right. There's this growing awareness that you've outgrown something, but you can't quite name what it is yet. However it arrives for you, there's usually a moment when the knowing becomes undeniable. And then life goes on. You get home from wherever you were when this realization happened. Monday comes around. You wake up in the same old room, in the same old house, still showing up in the same work, same routines, and everything feels exactly the same. You've had this realization, this creeping knowing that's been moving in for ages, and yet nothing around you has changed. And the result? That feeling that says, ugh, I just can't be bothered because everything feels like hard work. That idea of change feels scary, daunting, too big to manage. The voices start up. I don't feel ready. I wouldn't be able to manage more clients, more money, more responsibility, more people to manage in my business, doing things alone, staying on top of life if I was shifting. This is one of the most common patterns that I see, both in my own life and in working with clients. We receive the download, we feel the call, and then the practical reality of change creates a kind of shutdown response. Anyone else in this place right now? Autumn is a particular time for this kind of awakening. We get inspired by the really visual transformation of the world around us. The trees drop their leaves, and those of us who are really attuned to the cycles of life notice and feel called to acknowledge that autumn is a time of opportunity for us humans too. It's an opportunity to acknowledge what's not working and what's had its time and to let go. Nature shows us that release isn't about failure, it's about completion. It calls us to release what no longer serves us, not because it's bad or wrong, but because it's done. Relationships, projects or work settings, ways of being that aren't lifting us anymore. It all often becomes really clear at the transitional times of year. And especially moving towards the winter. Winter gives us a moment to go more inside. We know it's coming for ages before it arrives, and it has its pull. We have more time indoors, more time with the fire if we have one. I love my fire. It's one of the things I love about this time of year. But, we get more comfortable, more cozy, don't we? And in this phase, we start to get reflective. We start very tentatively to consider the year that has been. Questions that might arise are, did I do what I said I was going to do? Has it been the year I wanted or know that I deserve? Am I fulfilling my highest potential? And then we get to the feelings about that. Like, can I really go another year without creating a shift? And there it goes again, the autumn realization of what needs to go. And here's the thing, we often ignore it the first time round because of the fear of the work that we know comes with such a shift. But the knowing doesn't go away, it just gets louder. So let's talk about what this avoidance pattern actually looks like when it shows up, because recognition is the first step to working with it rather than against it. This avoidance shows up in so many ways. For some people, it's not feeling inspired by the work they used to love. For others, it's overcommitting to external things. That's my pattern. Saying yes to everyone else's needs so that you don't have to focus on your own. Especially if you've got particular projects or actions, things that you need to do. And especially if those are the things that would help start to create your new reality. Some people just make themselves incredibly busy with everyone else's needs. Some people might binge watch entire series or suddenly develop an urgent need to reorganize their entire home. I've done that. Some people can't even be bothered to do the things that usually bring them comfort. The key, though, is to notice the pattern that's unique for you. For me personally, when I'm in this phase, I can't even be bothered watching TV. I can't be bothered scrolling or tidying my house. There's a kind of low grade malaise that settles in. And here's what often happens next. We start looking for external explanations. Is it hormonal? Is it what's going on in the stars? Is it the change in the weather? What stage am I at in my cycle? And of course, it could be any of these things. Our bodies, the cosmos, the seasons, they all affect us. But when it doesn't shift and you have long enough to be with it, there's usually something deeper going on. When this kind of stuckness persists, I've learned both personally and professionally that there is only a matter of time before life creates a shift that forces us to take action. And then it's not always the way we would design it. I've had clients who've told me that it was only when they got sick that they actually started to listen, or it's only when their partner left them that they realized that they'd been pushing them away for ages anyway. And now they've got the guilt and the shame and the wasted years to grieve. Well, it's only when they've broken down that they actually look and take the steps that they need to get the support, the assistant, the help, the new learning, or the coach. Whatever it is, we so often leave things way too long. And the body keeps the score, doesn't it? Life keeps calling, and eventually, if we don't listen to the whispers, we get the shout. So when you notice that I can't be bothered feeling, settling in and staying, pay attention. Something is asking for your awareness. So what do we actually do when we find ourselves in this place? How do we move through it without either forcing ourselves into action before we're ready or without staying stuck indefinitely? Here are some of the things that I've learned to work. And it's not what you might expect, because first we have to allow it. We have to let ourselves avoid in whatever way it's happening. We're crazy if we think we're not going to, but we need to watch it. We watch ourselves, and I know that might sound counterintuitive, but we shouldn't just push through it. We shouldn't force ourselves to take action. Because when we shame ourselves or force action from a place of disconnection, we usually either burn out or create change that doesn't stick. We need to bring awareness to what's happening first. So with compassion and curiosity, we start to name what we're experiencing. Not to shame ourselves, but to let ourselves know we see what's happening. So often we think that if we keep quiet, even to ourselves, whilst we're watching our own avoidance, that we'll be able to deny that we're doing it. But actually, what happens is those voices of self-sabotage, the ones that call us lazy or pathetic or useless, they win over in those times. Anyone got an inner voice that is so mean you wouldn't ever want anyone to ever hear it? Most of us do. And that voice thrives in secrecy. The practice is to allow and be curious. Watch yourself go through all the possible excuses, external possibilities, and go slow. Maybe you watch a few episodes of a series and you notice it didn't really help. So you do another slow, non-productive thing and you ask, I wonder what's going on. Maybe you ring a friend who has experienced this, someone who you know who's not just going to, what's the word? Be complicit. And they might give you some good suggestions, and you might even ignore them. But just watch yourself doing that as well, because it's a game of trust. Can you stay in this phase without blaming or shaming yourself? Because when we know what's happening, is that we're avoiding something that needs to happen. There is only so much time that we can do this before we actually start to name what it is. The key is not to rush that process, but also not to let it go on indefinitely without investigation. There comes a point in the process of avoidance where we need to get honest with ourselves. And this is where authenticity, truth, and integrity become essential. When you can say things like, I cannot be bothered, what's the point, out loud to yourself, and you know what it means, something shifts. When you hear yourself out loud, you can respond with curiosity. I wonder what this is about. Why am I here again? And then you sit with it. What is this actually about? Here are the questions that I have learned to ask, that I guide my clients to explore. Things like, is it fear of failure? Or is it not feeling in alignment with what you've committed to? Is it not believing that you're good enough to take the bigger steps? Is it fear of success or fear of what it might demand of you? Is it grief for what you'll have to leave behind if things change? Is it exhaustion from not having properly rested after your last big push? When you can really have that kind of honest dialogue with yourself, it shifts something. But I want to be real with you. Sometimes this is a cycle that goes on for weeks. And I'm not sugarcoating it. The process takes as long as it takes. While you're in this inquiry process, there are some practical things that can support you without forcing premature action. One thing that helps is choosing what you consume carefully during this time. When you are in a funk, you are particularly susceptible to the energy and the messages around you. So podcasts, audiobooks, they can be really powerful allies here, not as distraction, but as a way to invite in voices that remind you of your highest self. Once you know that there is a big thing to face that you're avoiding, choose content that is written to inspire and uplift. We are so lucky that these resources are plentiful, free, and available. And you really can give yourself a lift into your highest self voice by making better choices in this area. Here's the principle. Our vibration is kind of affected by the 5 people we surround ourselves with most commonly. So if we want to raise our vibration, we need the voices of people in our hearts and minds that fill us with good energy, ideas, new ways of thinking and being. This helps us to stay in alignment rather than being dragged down by society's negativity or our own inner critic. Another thing that can be helpful is what I call productive procrastination. If you need to do a course, but you're avoiding it by tidying the house, something I always do, or if you need to tidy the house, but you're avoiding it by consuming content, do both at the same time. Put on a recording or a teaching or a webinar while you organize a room. It kind of tricks the brain into thinking it's doing the avoidance whilst simultaneously getting both things done. The key is to be gentle with yourself whilst also not letting yourself completely check out. So here's what I've learned through my own process and through working with clients. There comes a point where the awareness that you've been building actually demands a decision from you. You've watched yourself with compassion. You've named what's happening. You've asked the honest questions. And now you know, really know, what needs to shift. This is the moment where you have to make a choice. Not a forced choice, not a shamed choice, but a conscious choice. I am ready to move towards this change. And here's the beautiful thing. Because once you make that decision, once you truly commit to the shift, the universe meets you halfway. Life honestly starts to support you in ways that you wouldn't have orchestrated yourself. But you have to make the decision first. You have to say, yes, I'm ready. I don't know exactly how this will unfold, but I am stepping towards it. What does this look like practically? It might be booking that call with a coach or mentor. It might be having the conversation that you've been avoiding. It might be signing up for the program, making the financial commitment, clearing space in your calendar for the thing that you needed to do, reaching out to the family member you need to speak to, or just saying your intention out loud to someone who will hold you accountable. The key is it's the concrete action that signals to yourself and to life that you're no longer just thinking about change or avoiding it. You're actually willing and wanting to move towards it. And when you're in the watching phase, you're gathering information and building awareness. That's really essential. But there comes a point where continued watching becomes another form of avoidance. So you'll know when you've crossed that threshold because the energy shifts from I'm exploring what's true to I know what's true and I'm scared to act on it. That's when you need to take a step, even a small one, even an imperfect one. Watch for the moments when life offers you an opening, a conversation, an opportunity, a resource that appears. These are the universe's way of saying, I see you're ready. Here's some support. But you have to be willing to recognize these moments and take them. This is where the practices that connect you to something that's bigger than yourself become really essential. Nature connection, intention setting, journaling, making offerings, having altars, whatever your spiritual practice are, they're not just rituals, they're ways of marking a decision point. They're ways of saying, I'm ready to move from awareness into conscious intention and action. And when you engage these practices, you recognize that whatever has been happening is actually a gift. That funk, that avoidance, that discomfort that went on for ages, it's all been leading to this point of clarity. This is when you tune back into your vision and values. You remember your mission, the one that previously you avoided or couldn't emotionally connect to. And then you start to feel braver, more inspired to take those steps that you've been contemplating. And then, this is important, you give gratitude to yourself, spoken out loud, by taking a bath or doing yoga, by not getting too rushed, but honoring that you've been in a process and something has shifted. The completion of one cycle matters as much as the beginning of the next. Let me share something vulnerable with you because I think it matters that you know that, I go through things like this too. This podcast theme is the result of me coming out of my own quite uncomfortable process. I've been really avoiding and shaming myself for weeks around certain things that I know I've needed and wanted. And the fear was about taking on too much after spending so much time this year shedding. It's been the year of the snake after all. And in that process, lots of identities that I've had just dropped away. Me as partner to a beautiful, successful man, me as a leader of a beautiful, successful rites of passage program, me as a member of a beautiful community-based organization and friendship group, all dropped away. But also what has dropped away this year is the version of me that was content in earning just enough, or the version of me that was content to hide my brilliance behind other people, or the version of me that was willing to accept a less than perfect relationship for the security and safety. I share this because I know from my clients and friends that many of you have been through a lot this year too. Does any of this speak to you? One thing my coach said to me in our recent session was that this year of the snake, but next year is the year of the horse. We will be traveling on 4 legs again. The sacred being that is the horse. In the tradition that I work in, the horse is the animal that represents the abundant adult and like a deeply spiritual being that can take us into the world of spirit from a place of experience and knowing and strong foundations. We're going to be walking on 4 legs again, people. And I'm very excited about that. So here's what I want you to hear. If you are thinking of up-leveling, making a shift, doing something new, now is the time to start preparing. There's still time in this year to shed what is not serving, which is exactly what I did in my recent fire quest. And I'll share about that in my next podcast. But if you want to shed and at the same time step more fully into what's next, I want you to know you are ready. You are good enough. You're not just good enough, actually. You are made for the next version of you to be in existence. Now is not the time to play small. The world needs you. So believe, be bold, and live the life that you are here to create. If this speaks to you, but you're feeling the weight of just trying to keep yourself in alignment alone, then don't do it alone. You could grab a group of friends and create a circle to release what's ready to go this year so that you can create space for next. You could create a vision board or a new altar to honor what's coming in. Make some offerings. Or if you want to do something tangible to help you identify what your unique priorities are now and your vision for the world and your mission, you might check out my short £27 offer, Purpose to Foundations. I created this after running quite a similar session with my Life Compass curriculum group, and everyone found it so powerful. So it's there for you if you want to get clear right now. And if you're really looking to bring a project to life and actually want to make sure that you get going with all the specific pieces in place with a unique guided process and accountability co-working calls, I also have my Vision to Action program. And if what you know you need is a full life overhaul, but with gentle care and pace that allows you to become more aware and conscious as you reflect on each area of your life with compassion and support, my Life Compass curriculum is the way forward. We are taking in a new cohort for the end of the year. So check out all of the links in the show notes. And I would love to hear how you got on with this episode. If it lands well, please do let me know what spoke to you. You can find me on social media, Instagram, or drop me an email. I really genuinely love hearing from you. So until next time, take gentle care of yourself. Remember that I can't be bothered feeling. It's not your enemy. It's a messenger. So listen to what it has to tell you, what's underneath. And that is the foundation of connected self-leadership and everyday spirituality. Have a beautiful day. Thanks for tuning in to Connection Matters podcast. I hope today's episode inspired and empowered you to deepen your connection to yourself, others, and the world around you. If you enjoyed the show, please take a moment to subscribe. Share it with those who might benefit and leave a review. It really helps others to discover the podcast. You can also join our mailing list to stay updated with new episodes, inspiring thoughts, and free resources designed to support your journey. Together, we can build a more connected, compassionate world, one conversation at a time. Until next time, stay connected, stay inspired, and keep creating the future that you want to live in. Go well, beautiful human.